Okay, this is similar to the painting we're going to be doing, and it's kind of cartoon flowers, so you don't have to be good at drawing at all. It's just lines and strokes of pens and paint, and that's basically it, really. It's not a difficult one at all. I've called it Seeds in the Breeze because it's a picture, it's got a lot of movement in it, it's got seeds flying everywhere, coming off the seed pods. If you see, there's lots of lines on it. It's a build-up of paint and then pens, so there's layers on layers, but it is very easy and won't take you too long. Don't really need any experience to do this. So that's what we're going to be doing. The canvases we're going to be using, or that I'm using, is going to be smaller than this, and a completely different shape, because obviously this one is very tall and long. But the canvases I got from the range. No, I didn't. I got from the works. I sent off for them. They arrived in the post. I think they're still doing it. You get 2 for £5, and they're not like this canvas, which has got an edge on it. They're actually thin, so you can frame them into frames. They look really nice when they're in frames. This is the canvas board. So this is what I'm going to be using today. You can see it's very thin, but it's also very cheap, £2.50, so that's great. Because obviously at the moment everyone wants crafts that aren't going to cost very much. So if you send off, look around, but I definitely know that the works have got 2 for £5. Right, let's see. The rest of the materials you need are a white and a black fine liner pen, which are these acrylic. If I can turn them around, you can see what they are. They're acrylic painters. You get them in a pack, white and black. They're very fine, so they're good. You also need another sort of pen, a permanent marker, not too thick, or a Sharpie will do in black as well. And then you will need, I used a few different colours. I used a green. You can use whatever colours you like for the background, but I used a dark green, a light green. I used this one as well, which is a match pot. I used a yellow and an orange in the grass and the background. I used a red for the flowers, and I used and a brown, and then this kind of pale colour. So I just had a selection of paints. I just use plastic pots to put them in. If you've got any plastic pots in the cupboard or anything like that, you can put them in there. You need a wide paintbrush for doing the background, and then you need fine paintbrushes for doing the detailing. If I can get my paintbrush in front. So you just need fine ones for the detailing of the paint, and that's about it really. That's all we need to do the painting. So let's get on with it. Doing this kind of painting is so relaxing, so good for mind, body, spirit, and the fact that we're going to paint with paints first, and then the rest of it is all pen work, means you can sit watching the telly doing it, because you're not going to be messy, you're just going to have pens. So it is really good for health and well-being and keeping you in a sane state at the moment. Also easy, and you can adapt it. You can do different flowers, different things, so you can adapt it in your own way, in your own colours to suit you, and I hope you have fun doing it. Okay, what we're going to do first is the wash for the background. Choose any colours you like, they don't have to be traditional colours. I'm going to do a little bit of black at the bottom, so you just sweep your brush all the way across. A little bit of water, on it, and then I'm going to add some brown into it, just sweeping across and blending it in like that. And then I'm going to add a bit of green, and you can see it's turning into a blended colour for the bottom. I'll wash my brush a little bit, and then I'm going to start going up with a bit more green and less brown in it. And then as you go up, keep just sweeping across, blending it in a little bit. And you're going to start changing your colours a little bit as you go up further. I'm going to add a different green now into it, just to brighten it a little bit at the top. So we're working our way through it again, just sweeping across with it. Just going into it a little bit. And then a bit more of the lighter colour. You can do any colours you want. You can put lights in it, darks in it, it really doesn't matter. You can do pinks, purples, whatever you want for the background, as long as the flowers you put on it are a different colour and the black and the white or whatever colours you're using with your pens show up. Now I'm going to add a little bit of blue to it. I think I'm going to just put the blue into here. Okay, I've gone to the top with my colours. Now what I'm going to do is just dip into a pale colour. I'm just using this like pale colour here. And I'm just going to wipe over it a little bit in the middle to lighten it up. So you're just blending this in to the centre bit. And if you've got bits you feel are a bit too dark, you can blend in some light colour with it, just to lighten it up a little bit. This bit is really easy, it's literally just sweeping and blending. Just taking your brush across and blending all the colours in. So you've got a background that's a bit like nature, because nature's all kinds of different colours. So we've got our background to work on too. Right, that's it. And then I'm going to add a little bit of yellow into the sky. So just dab my brush in, that little bit of yellow, and just sweep it across a bit into the sky. There's a bit of sun there, a bit of sunshine in our lives. Okay, I'm going to leave my canvas there now, and we'll start. Once it's dry, you can use a hairdryer to dry it if you want, or you can just leave it to dry, get on with something else, and then once it's dry, we're going to start putting on our flowers. Okay, I've blasted mine with the hairdryer, and now we're ready to start with our pens. I've got an acrylic paint marker, if you can see that, and I've got some white ones as well. So I've got black and white ones. You can use marker pens. You need fine tips really, but you can use permanent markers, anything like that. If you want to start by using a pencil, that's fine to draw your flower shapes on. But what we're going to do initially is just draw some spaced out flowers. So to do the flowers, you literally just do a circle or a half circle like that, just a half circle joined there, and that's all you need to do. And then we go along the top a little wiggly line. So you've got your first flower. Doesn't matter if it's neat, doesn't matter too much about that. Then you just want to take a stalk down to the bottom. It can be uneven, it can be wiggly, it really doesn't matter. Then you want to go up again and do a bigger one here. So we've got our wiggly line going across, and then we've got our stem coming down. So we've got a stem coming down there as well. And we're going to be ending up doing lots of leaves and things coming off and that sort of thing. Then if you want to do like a stem coming up here. Now first of all, for the daisy, do a big mound like that, and then bring your leaves down, or petals down off it. So you're literally just doing petal shapes coming down. Just simple and rough like that. And if I bring them closer, you can see they're just shapes. But we are going to turn them into much more kind of flower looking things in the end. And then you want to be drawing on a leaf. So you literally just find where you want it and just do something like that. So it's just a leaf shape. So because this is just the outlines at the moment, and wherever you want to put a leaf, just stick one on. So we're getting like a few little things on there at the moment. If I'm going to put a leaf here as well, a smaller one. There we are. So now we've got the basis for our flowers. Now you want to grab some paint in the colour you want. I've still got some of the yellow left, so I'm going to use that to fill in the daisy. And how you do it is with a thin, fine brush, I just do strokes down. You don't have to be amazing at painting to do this. This is why it's so much fun. And just like, so it's actually raised up a little bit. So you've got a bit of texture. You don't have to stay totally in the lines either that you've drawn. And just fill your daisy in with these strokes that are leaving it a little bit raised up. You can be quite quick about this bit. So I've roughly filled that in. Now I'm going to blend a little bit of the lighter colour I had earlier just into it, but just like strokes, so that it just highlights a little bit of it. So you're not actually covering it with it, but you're just doing strokes out from the centre of the flower down into your, you can blend any colours you like. It depends what colours you've done on your flowers, but just use a lighter one to go blend into it. So you're just blending another colour in. That's it. Then you can start just stippling onto your centre of the flower. And if you stipple it, you'll get little raised up bubbles on it that look like flower seeds. Just go around it like that. I'll bring it closer. Can you see? It's got little bubbles on it. And that's going to be your seed bit. Now I'm going to put a little bit of black into mine, just around the edges, just tiny little dots with your brush. None of this, you need to be a painter. All you need to be able to do is do little brush strokes and dots. for all of this. So I'm just putting little bits on there just to make it, give it a bit of a different colour. And then I'll get a bit of my green and bob that on as well. So you're just building up this to make it have a little centre to the flower. I'm going to start my poppy now. So I've got some red, a little bit of red in there. And I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm just going to do strokes down and around and just fill in the poppy. Doesn't matter if you go over the edge because it gives quite a nice effect. So you're just filling it in, leaving it bumpy, giving it a bit of texture, and just going with the red or whatever colour you're using, whatever flower you're doing. Just fill it all in. And then we're going to do exactly the same with this one. We're going to add other colours. I've got this amazing pink, which is actually from Asda. You get 3 in a pack for around about £5. But this just is really gorgeous and blends in quite nicely. And I'll put some on top when it's dry as well, but I'm just going to blend some of this in for now because it gives it a nice fluorescent look. So that's where we're at so far. We're filling in our flowers. If you do the same to the other flower at the top. Okay, there's the flowers. I've added a little bit of purple to mine as well. So you can add any colours you like at this stage. You can just keep adding lots of little colours into it to make it a little bit better, blending it in, leaving some of them quite stripy and bright. Now we'll do the leaves. So what you want to do is get your green again. But you want it to show up. Like I've used green behind, so I want it to show up. So what I'm going to use at first is a little bit of dark green on it. So I'm just going to do the same again. Fill it all in with the green. And then on top, I'm going to use yellows and creamy colours just to make it stand out against the background that's quite green behind. So I'm going to put a bit of this sort of thing on it and a bit of my yellow and a bit of the other green I've got, just so that it's blending in and becoming much brighter on top of the greeny colour below. So the leaves are now filled in using a few different colours and blending them in and leaving them quite raised up in places so they've got texture. Now we're going to do a little bit of grass at the bottom before we go on to do the pen work. So you want to just get a tiny bit on your brush, a tiny bit, and just do little sweeps. So your brush is just literally touching the paper. Random sweeps of grass. Up, they can be higher up, they can be low, but we're just putting in random little bits of grass. Remember, this isn't exact flowers, this is abstract, so it can look however you want it to look. You don't have to be an expert, clearly. Right, so you've got your little bits of grass. You can now add different colour grass. So I'm going to add a few little bits of orangey yellow in there just to give it a bit more colour down the bottom. We are going to do pen on top of it, so don't worry too much about this. It's just giving it a little bit of colour at the bottom of the canvas, and it also it brightens it up. It looks nice. So we're just putting in our little bits there. If you want to put another colour, you can. I could put a little bit of the darker green in amongst it. So you've just got your bits going in there. So you're building out a little bit of grass at the bottom. Go over the, kind of crossing over, blowing in the wind. So you've got some grass at the bottom of your canvas. Give it a little blast with the hairdryer. I'm going to add a little bit of bright orange to my flower now. This is another fluorescent one from Asda, and it just lifts it up a little bit there. I'm just going to put little bits, little bubbles in, little bit. Just a little bit of brightness on there. I'm hardly touching the canvas, but it's just blending it in a little bit. If your canvas is dry, now we're going to add the little black things coming out of the flowers. I haven't got a clue what they're called, but and all you do for this is you get your black acrylic marker or your permanent marker, whatever you've got with a fine nib, and you just do lines and bubbles, lines and bubbles, and they can literally go any direction, cross over each other, come out from the sides, absolutely anywhere you want to put them. And we're just going to build up. We're just going to build up our flower like that. So you want to have it in the end so there's lots coming out of it, and some of them are taller, some of them are shorter, and that, just build them up, do exactly the same for the other flower, and then when we've finished all that, we'll go to the next stage. Okay, so we're at a stage where we've got our lines and bubbles drawn in, going in all different directions, all different sizes. So that's the start of doing our flowers, filling them in with pens. Now we're going to draw in some of the other flowers that are going to join in with it, the seeded ones that are going to pull it all together and cross over and twist over each other. So you're going to start at the bottom here somewhere and just go up to a point, and then what you need to do is a circle, just a circle of black, and from that we're going to just do the same thing, lots of bubbles coming out in all different directions from this, so you can see they're all building up and coming out, and just keep going with that. They can go as far as you like, they can have big long ones and then little short ones, and you're building up one that isn't going to have colour on it apart from white. These are the seed ones, and what I want you to do now is just put a few more in. So maybe take one up to the top, and you can join them in at the stems so that they're coming off each other. Can you see at the stem bit there, they're coming off each other. So maybe put one in there and put another one in going round here, and another one going off there. And so when you're ready, just keep putting them in, and then we'll come back to it when we've put them all in. Your little seed thingies can go over your other flowers because they're meant to look like they're kind of all over the place, blowing in the wind. So you can take them over the flowers you've done so that you can see they can go over them and in front of them, behind them, and start building up a kind of blowing in the wind type seedy picture. I don't mean seedy picture like that, I just mean a picture full of seeds. Okay, now you should have lots of little lines, curvy lines with bubbles on the end, crossing over some of your flowers, just filling in the spaces, making it look like a field of seeds. Yeah, you can look close to see they're just literally lines with blobs. Now we're gonna look at filling in a little bit of the leaves. So for the leaves, all we do is we draw a black line through the centre, wiggly, however you want it, and then we'll just come off every now and then with a little black line. So it's starting your leaves off, just putting in little black lines. Yeah. Okay, so we'll do that for the leaves, and also at this stage, whilst you're doing that, you can put some little black bits of grass in just around the bottom of it. So however you like, tall or as short as you like, just to fill in some of those bits in between the painted grass we did earlier. So it's just filling in little bits of grass at the bottom. So we fill the leaves in and then the grass. This is where we start to build up the black on the leaves. So if you see on this one, ignore the white which is on top, but you're just like building up a black, thicker black on them. So you just want to build up your middle bit and the black bits. They look like kind of veins on them, don't they? So that you're getting like a much thicker, darker black onto it. I'm just doing strokes with the brush, with the pen, just darkening it and thickening it. They don't have to be totally on top of each other. There can be little bits coming off it, but you're just darkening those bits with strokes of the pen, just like that. The next stage, once you've filled your leaves in, is to thicken the stems. I'm using a permanent marker for this, and you just literally go down them and just thicken them, and go off and just thicken them up so they're quite bright and show up more. And you just want to do that with all of your stems. Okay, you should have all your stems in now, quite thick, so you can see them really well. So the next stage that we're going to do is all the squiggly bits that come off the stems, which are like this. Again, ignore the white on top, we do that later, but you see how they come off and squiggle round, they come like this, all over. There's little squiggles coming off the stems, and they're crossing over other stems. See all the squiggles? So you literally want to fill your stems with squiggles coming off. I'll show you how to do those now. Okay, now we're going to do the squiggles that come off it. So you just choose where you want to do a squiggle, and you just basically do any form of squiggle you like. So I've just done, where can I find it? A squiggle somewhere there. So you're just doing squiggles however you want to do them. So you can just do one like that, or you can do one that squiggles round quite a lot. And you just want to come off all your stems everywhere with these squiggles, crossing over other stems. So you could have one coming down there and crossing over the stems and just coming off all over the place. Once you've put your squiggles in all over your stems, you then want to thicken them up a bit like you did your stems. So you just want to go over them now you've got the shape of them, just gently thickening them up. Now we've got our squiggly lines darkened up. I've also put some in the grass down here, so if you want to put some in there, but now it's all quite dark. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in and underneath the flowers with a fine one, we're going to just do like little wispy bits. Doesn't matter where they go, just kind of coming off the bottom of the flower. I'll show you close up in a sec. So we're just putting wispy bits into the bottom of our flower. You see? So we're putting like little bits coming off it, and they can just be anywhere. Just little fine bits coming off your flower. We're going to do it with this one as well, just to kind of make the bottom of the flower look a little bit frilly with different bits. So just go in there and just hit little brush strokes coming off and up the flower a little bit, and coming off and down, almost like it's got whiskers. And up. So you're just putting more little bits of texture on. This is all layering up with pen now. So we've got some wispy bits around our flowers there. The next stage we're going to do is put a little bit of black fine detail on the leaves. So it's going to be a little bit like just where we put our thick bits, just coming off with fine little bits around them, a bit like the whiskers, just fine bits coming off. You can put little dots. There's some little dots in here. You can put little dots and different things, just to give the leaves a tiny bit more detail before we go on to do the white bit. I started going around the leaves with my fine marker, just defining the shape again of the leaf, and just putting a few little lines in it, going round, just to get the shape of it again. We are going to go around it in white after, and then by the bottom of the leaves again put a few little whiskery bits coming off, so you've got some little where it joins the stem. Okay, the next stage is we're going to outline again our flowers. So we've outlined our leaves, and now we're going to outline the flowers again where the paint's gone over it and we've lost it a little bit. Once you've outlined your flowers again, so you can see this one's now outlined again and the other two are, you want to get your fine pen and you just want to start doing little fine lines coming off the centre of your little flower down here. Just little random lines coming off it, and then maybe a few little black dots just around. So not many, just a few. And that's that one ready to then put the white onto. So the next stage of what we're going to do is put the white on, which is a pen, another acrylic marker, fine head. Just see if this one's working. Yep. So what we're going to do now is go over everything with a white marker. So where we've got the stems and the curly bits, we're going to just go over them. It doesn't have to be exact on it. It doesn't matter at all. Just go over them with white so that then the white stands out on top of the black. We're also at the same time going to, the same way we did the lines and the black bubbles, we're going to do lines and white bubbles in amongst them on the flowers, so they're coming off. And we're also going to do lines and white bubbles on the seeds. So that's the next stage, is to go over your lines and your squirrels and to put the seeds in with white. I've started going over mine. You see, it's just literally, you just go over them with the white. So, and then add your white lines with your bubbles in amongst, coming out of the centre, crossing over, exactly the same as you did with the black. So you've got them all going different directions, different lengths, all coming from the centre on all of them. I need to say a bit on this is that don't go over your black ones, just add white to them. You go over everything else, but you just add white to these ones. Right, now what we should have is all our outlines on our stems with white on top. All the flowers should have white and black coming out of them. The next stage that we're going to do is we're going to put little white dots all over the top of this flower here and into the green bit on top, or whatever colour you've got, and round the bottom bit. And then we're going to put little dots coming off it, like the seeds, just like dropping around it, flying into the air, little tiny seeds everywhere. So you can carry on with that and do lots of seeds dropping. They can go up, they can go down. The other thing we're going to do is outline the flowers now with the white, and then put little white lines just over them, adding a little bit of white highlight to them. So it's just little white lines coming off them, randomly highlighting it. Plus we'll also be going around the edge. You don't have to stay exactly on the black because it gives it a nice effect if you don't. So just going around the flower with your white, doing the same on the red flowers or whatever colour flowers you're doing, and just putting white highlights coming down the red flowers in any little direction you like, just highlighting it, and then coming off where you did the black wispy lines, coming off with white ones too. So you're just any direction, any size, just coming off your flowers. So you've got white on top of the black there. So what we're doing, and then again outline the leaves and do little white strokes just on the leaves to highlight. So what we're going to be doing is outlining the flowers and then putting in just little white strokes and onto the leaves too, outlining the leaves, just bringing it up a little bit with white. So if you can see this one, it's got white on here, it's got the dots all coming off the flower, all going up and down, the little seeds coming off. It's got white highlighting all around these areas. So we're just generally now going to put the white on top of the flowers and the leaves. Once you've put your lines onto them, put a little bit onto your leaves and your dots here on the flower, and you've put your little bit wispy bits coming off the bottoms, the next stage of this is to put some seeds flying off and around the place. So how we do this is we do it with the white and the black fine liners, and we just literally not attach to anything, just do a seed coming off, and you do them anywhere you want. So you just make it so they're moving around, so you're just putting these seeds anywhere, and like I say, black or white and both, and the seeds then are just flying off them into the air, and I'll put some black ones in a minute, so you've got the extra motion and the flow on it. Then we're going to put some white, very thin grass in all the way along, different lengths, different ways, crossing over each other. So you've got white grass going in at the bottom, just over the top here. Once you've done that, we're actually nearly complete. We just got to, in the centre of these, put little white wispy bits coming out, just filling in all the gaps. So the centre becomes more like this, with little white wispy thin bits coming out of them. So you're going to fill in your flowers centres with those. So the next stage, put the grass all the way along in white, fill in the centres of these, and the other thing I've done is I've put little dots randomly along the top, little white dots along the top of these. You can see there's little white dots along the top, so you can do that as well, putting little dots along like little seeds that have fallen. And we'll go to the very next stage after that. Your canvas should be looking kind of quite busy now, full of lots of things. If you can add lots and lots more seeds dotted about, flying in the air, little tiny white dots with the fine liner. The very last thing we're going to do is just draw some white little squiggles without the black underneath, just coming off a few of them, just so you've got little bits coming off here and there. We'll do that now, and then the very last stage will be after that. Okay, that's pretty much the end of your canvas painting. If I put it up close, you can see that I've put lots of tiny little dots everywhere. All these tiny little white seeds falling everywhere on the top of the flowers, all over. So if you just put your tiny little dots in, so they're flying around in the wind everywhere, you've put your little white squirrels in, just little ones on their own. And that is pretty much the end of your canvas. You can carry on putting extra bits in if you want, but that's the basis of it. And I hope you've enjoyed doing it. If you've got any questions at all, just message me on my Facebook page, Crafty Teacup Creative Centre, and I'll help you with whatever I can do. That's it, really. Thank you. See you soon.